You live in the most comfortable, abundant era in human history. Yet, despite material wealth, rates of loneliness and depression are reaching historic highs. We often assume that if we could simply remove all friction and struggle from our daily lives, if every bill was paid and every meal was delivered, providing them everything they needed to thrive, just to see what happens when the struggle for survival disappears. The results of that experiment offer a startling perspective on the modern experience of isolation and the hidden costs of a life without friction. The scientist was John Calhoun. He spent his career studying population density, launching his most ambitious project inside a federal research lab in Maryland. He began with 8 founders, 4 males and 4 females. He placed them in a custom-built enclosure, effectively removing every external threat to their existence. This was Universe 25, a 9-foot square enclosure featuring floor-to-ceiling apartments, infinite food, and endless water. With controlled temperature and 0 predators, Calhoun calculated this utopia could comfortably support 3,800 mice. The population doubled every 55 days, settling into their perfect world. But the experiment was designed to run until the colony reached its limit. Calhoun wanted to know if a population with no physical needs would continue to grow until it filled every available inch of space. However, as the colony expanded, the physical comfort of the enclosure began to coincide with a total breakdown of the mice's social structure. By day 315, the population hit 600. In the wild, surplus mice would migrate to find new territory, but inside Universe 25, there was no outside. The mice were geographically trapped in a space that was rapidly filling up. This created what Calhoun termed the behavioral sink. It wasn't a lack of food or water that caused the decline, but a lack of available social roles. The younger mice found that every position in the hierarchy was already occupied. Young males began drifting into the center of the enclosure, forming listless, apathetic pools of bodies. They had no territory to defend and no females to court. When attacked by more aggressive mice, they wouldn't even fight back. They would simply stand up, move a few inches, and lie down again. Other males went to the opposite extreme. They became hyper-aggressive and frantic, invading nests and bypassing all traditional social rituals. The normal rules of being a mouse were rapidly dissolving. Without the necessity of survival or the ability to occupy a meaningful niche in their society, the animal's natural instincts began to fail. The females responded to the social chaos by retreating. Many moved to the highest apartments in the enclosure, isolating themselves from the rest of the colony and ceasing all reproductive activity. In the lower levels, the mothers who were still trying to raise young became overwhelmed. Without the protection of the males, they grew stressed and aggressive, eventually abandoning or even attacking their own pups. The few mice that did survive to adulthood in this environment were raised without any social modeling. They had no understanding of how to interact, mate, or raise the next generation. Calhoun called them the beautiful ones. These mice never fought and never tried to mate. They spent their entire lives doing only 3 things: eating, sleeping, and grooming themselves obsessively. Their fur was perfect, but they were socially dormant. The population peaked at 2,200, well below the enclosure's capacity, and then it began to plummet. No successful pregnancies occurred after day 920. The mice simply grew old and died. By 1973, the colony was extinct. Calhoun concluded that the mice had died 2 deaths. First was the death of their social spirit and their ability to function as a species. The second was the physical death of their bodies. When Calhoun's findings were published, they were met with alarmist headlines. Many used Universe 25 as a metaphor for the decay of modern cities, arguing that abundance and comfort were inherently toxic to society. But that wasn't Calhoun's actual conclusion. He didn't believe that food or safety were the killers. The issue, Calhoun argued, was the ratio of individuals to meaningful roles. When a society has more individuals than it has ways for those individuals to contribute or find purpose, the social fabric begins to unravel. The comfort of Universe 25 didn't kill the mice. It simply removed the work and the roles that made their lives feel necessary. This creates a direct parallel to our own era. For many, the basic requirements for physical survival are largely automated. We have filled our feeders, but we have also removed much of the friction from our existence. We see an increasing number of people withdrawing into private, isolated lives, opting out of traditional social roles, and retreating into digital spaces in a way that mirrors the behavior of Calhoun's final generation. However, Calhoun did not believe this was an inevitable fate for humans. Unlike mice, we have the ability to move beyond our physical environment and expand into conceptual space. We have the capacity to invent new roles for ourselves, to build communities, create art, and share ideas that transcend simple survival. We can replace the friction of the wild with the friction of creative and social effort. The mice in Universe 25 had no choice but to follow their biology to the end. But for us, recognizing the lack of purpose is the first step toward building something new. Physical comfort is a reality of our world,